everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Finally, I made a video that I'm talking to you guys again. Do not mind some noise, some background noise that we're gonna have today because I have a downstairs neighbor that is doing like some remodelation work in his house, so I guess this was the only opportunity I had to film this. So I'm so excited. What you're seeing here is not a picture. It's not just something I've printed myself. This is the tarot deck I've been creating in the last few months that I've created this year, and it's finally printed and it's finally here. I can barely believe it's done. The prototype is here in my hands right now, and I'm going to walk you through each and every one of the cards to talk to you a little bit more about how I've made it, all the artwork, all the different elements of each card and what I've done to create such a beautiful piece of my own history, of my own skill sets, and of my own learning with this tool that I've been using for almost a decade now. I've always wanted a deck that was very reminiscent of like a cosmic vibe, something to draw the user to the universe, to the cosmos, but also to have nature inspiration in it, ancestral inspiration in it. So I have some dinosaurs sprinkled in, because who doesn't love them? I've always loved, fossils, dinosaurs, and that really had to be a part of it. I've also always wanted a deck that was a little more dark toned, and it's why this deck is called officially the Dark Star Tarot. So initially the name wasn't going to be like that. I had many plans for names, but they didn't roll off the tongue, and because I wanted a cosmic deck, I really wanted to incorporate the star name in it. So I tried Star Tarot, but that exists, and other generic names, but since I have a deck that's a little more on the black tones, on the dark tones, purple, black, grays, dark blues, you also have some light colors here, but the overall palette of the deck is quite cosmic-ish, more darkish vibe, and it's also a more masculine energy deck. I mean, it's very inclusive. There are queens here, kings, everything like that, and there aren't any human beings in the deck. It's mostly an animal deck, but some of the other cards are very abstract. I really wanted an abstract energy as well, very dreamy. So it's a mix, it's a culmination of many ideas that I've always had in my mind turned into a deck. So these are the backs of the deck. I've ordered a print in a linen finish, so in reality it's reflecting a lot here on camera, but I'm seeing the full picture and the linen texture. It's just because of the reflection on the camera, I guess, but if you see it in real life, it's not as reflective as it's showing up on camera. Right now I can see it fully in color, but I'm looking at the camera and it reflects this bit here a little more because the window is right there. So it's a linen finish deck. I've made the Dark Star name the actual symbolism for the back of the card. So why the Dark Star? I really wanted to convey an occult message. I've always been fascinated by occultism, and my very first deck and my very first studies of the tarot were not as traditional as other people go. Usually people study the Rider-Waite-Smith system. I've studied with the thought system, so by Aleister Crowley, and his fascination with the occult has led me to study a lot of occultism and hidden symbolism in many aspects of life. So that's why I wanted to add, a little plot twist to the tarot here and call it the Dark Star Tarot. So this Dark Star deck doesn't mean that it's a negative tarot deck. It's just it taps into a lot of potential, a lot of shadow. For shadow work, this will be amazing. And because a lot of decks nowadays tend to be overly positive, they tend to convey and just be out there for this new generation of only positivity, and I'm not like that. I wanted something that was transparent, that could tap into both positive, negative, and neutral energies, and something that could convey clear messages for the good and for the bad, because that's what I see tarot as a tool to use in our day-to-day lives, and our everyday lives aren't always positive or always very cheerful. I really wanted to tap into every single emotion aspect of spirituality. So that's why it's called the Dark Star Tarot, and it has these dark borders to confine the imagery, and have a very concise palette on the entire deck. There's only one issue though, which is the dark borders with the printing company that I've been working with in the past few months. They are a little too big, and when I designed this with them, the borders were supposed to be a little smaller. So what is going to happen? And this is not to show you already a card, but I'll show it anyway. This is the last card. It's an extra card, don't worry. And the borders are the same size on the back and on the front. And because they are a little bigger than what was supposed to be, they will cut a little bit of the text, and sometimes some of the details that are here, sideways and up top. And I was a little disappointed in that, so since this is a prototype and I've already remade some cards that I wasn't very happy with, that means that I will have to talk to them and work it through them to reduce the thickness of the border so that it doesn't cut any text, and then any other details aren't cut from the user, because I don't want that. That's definitely what I don't want. I'll also take this opportunity to talk about cardstock. So it's not too thin, it's not too thick. It's linen both on the front. It's a shame that the camera does not pick the linen texture. I can see all the details of the linen. It's buttery smooth and it's matte. It's not shiny or glossy, even though it reflects light a little on camera. In person, it almost doesn't reflect anything. So I'm going to review it to you as honest as possible. This isn't for sale yet. I just want to showcase the product of my imagination and hard work for so many months to put ideas and to convey them and put them into practice, and to tell you that this is all digital art. None of this is drawn on paper, none of this is made on paper and then passed on to digital. It's made digitally because I'm good with computers. I have a degree in software engineering. It's one of my passions in life, so I was quite comfortable doing that. A shame that I designed the cards to have space here beneath the text and nothing was cut, but then when I added the borders here with this company, apparently that messed up a little bit of the alignment. So I will really need to talk to them and work it through on the final product, and when I have it for sale, of course. Before I dive through the deck, I want to tell you that I'm designing right now a second deck, an oracle deck. It's round and it's going to have roughly 60 something cards, which is 48 cards for the oracle and then 12 extra cards, and then some more that I'm still thinking through. But those 12, each card will be the zodiac sign, the symbol of the zodiac, some nice artwork, and then a keyword. Those 12 cards will not be core to the oracle deck, let's say like that, but it's an added bonus that I wanted to give to people. And this deck also has 2 bonus cards. You're already seeing one of them. I didn't want to show it to you in the beginning, but we'll dive deep through and walk through each of the cards, and then you'll see what this Omega card is all about. So I'm designing a second deck. I've already designed a tarot cloth that has 7 positions with the size of this deck. So it's a cloth that I'm going to bundle up with the deck when I launch it for sale. You can also buy it standalone, but when I launch it for sale, I want to bundle up the tarot cloth. It's going to be Dark Star themed as well. It's going to have a very purplish universe theme, just like the back of these cards. Some animals, some very nice drawings. You'll love it. I think you'll love it. And it's going to be a cloth that's also going to serve as a spread. So it's a cloth for tarot for you to use, but then it has fixed positions for the cards so that you can use a spread in the cloth. That was one of my ideas as well. So let's dive deep through. I don't want to take too much of your time because this is going to be a long video for sure, and I want to make sure you see each of the cards here. Just a friendly reminder here that the cards, have this purple border here because I did that myself. So they arrived yesterday, and today I painted the borders in purple because I think it goes beautiful with the backs, or a black would also go good. So they do not come with borders because, let's be honest, I had two options here: silver borders, those that come off easily, or gold borders that come off easily as well. You know, those generic ones that a lot of tarot decks have. But silver and gold didn't go well with this deck. I mean, Dark Star Tarot with such purplish black vibes, I wanted it borderless in here, colorless, let's say like that, so that people can color it the way they want it and personalize the deck as well. I'm thinking, because this pen here that I use is really good for linen, it really is good. It looks like the deck came this way. I'm thinking of, when I sell the deck, I'll bundle up the pen as well for people to have at least a little tool to bond with the deck, and especially to tell you this is not a beginner deck, okay? This is a deck for people that are already used to the tarot or that have studied it, though a beginner might want to then read the guidebook. I'm working on the guidebook now, and it's going to be a digital guidebook. So the deck will come like this in a box. So the prototype is an empty box. I'm still designing the box. That's going to have the name of the deck, the main artwork, all different texts in here, on downware, and here in the back I'm going to have my name and some little text as well. So that's going to come bundled up in a little box here. I'll bundle, the tarot cloth, a nice pen or marker for you to do the borders, even a crystal. I'm thinking of bundling up because I have a huge collection of crystals, and I can get them for actually quite cheap, and that's going to be like just an extra free gift in the box, like an amethyst, small amethyst, or another crystal. I want to create a nice little gift box for you guys when I have this for sale, probably just by the end of the year or early next year. I'm still deciding if I start selling it as an indie version on Etsy and then I move on to Kickstarter, or what I should do. I'm still unsure. So just stay tuned, because for now we're not talking about sales or self-promotion. I'm here just to share creativity and art with you. So let's dive in like this. I'm going to hold the cards in my hand and then put them one by one in here. It looks like a bit of a card fell off, but then again, this is just a prototype. This is not the final product. So in here we have the full card. And before I dive into that, let me just tell you, these cards will not be numbered. There are no numerals here, Roman numerals, the generic math numerals. It's just the name of the archetype that we have here. So the major arcana will have the name of the major right here in the bottom, and then the minors will have the number but written. So it's going to say ace, it's going to say 2, 3, and then you'll be able to clearly identify what the element is. Do not worry. You'll see that it is a sword, you'll see that it is a wand, a disc. I do not have pentacles here, even though you can call them pentacles. I prefer to call them discs, and the wands and the cups. So everything is named traditionally except for the discs, but because it doesn't say discs, you can call it whatever you want, earth, pentacles, as you wish. So let's dive right in. As you can see, I have, and let's see if the camera can focus here. So as you can see here, I have an Aquarius symbol, and it's cut because of that huge black border like I was saying, and it also cut a little details on the flowers here. And the name, it doesn't look like it from afar, so let me just put it back on the table here. So the name is a little cut. There's just a tiny little cut here. The other details I don't mind, like the butterfly, you can still see that it's a butterfly, and I don't mind a tiny little cut, but the borders need to be shortened. I tried a borderless version, but I love the confinement of the black, because not all backgrounds are going to be like this. So here we have the full. Initially, this card wasn't going to look like this. It was just, you see this little forest background here? The whole card was a forest, and I had just a tiny little full hat in the middle. So it was very simplistic. It didn't convey the message clearly like I wanted it to. So what I added here was I transformed that forest into a portal. This is a door to the unknown. This is that leap of faith that traditionally is talked about, but this is also independence. That's why I have Aquarius here, and that's why I have the tools that you would probably just see in the Magician card, but I do see the Fool as someone that has a lot of tools at their disposal. In here you have a crystal ball and a potion because you may know already what's ahead, but you may decide to just take that virtue potion and just leap forward. The Fool is very airy energy for me, that's why I added an air symbol here along with the Aquarius, and it's a peaceful card. It's a card that also brings me a message of peace, because you're walking down this rainbow road and moving from the cosmos, so you were just born, you were just created into this journey here, right? The Fool's journey, you were just created, but there was something before you. So when other decks say that the Fool is the first card, it's the beginning, to me this is the second part of that beginning. That's why I have an Alpha and an Omega card, and the Alpha comes before the Fool. That's an extra card that I'm going to show you in the end. So after the Alpha has created you and created this journey for you, this is a moment of peace because you're still unsure what you're doing. You're moving from the cosmos here. There is a very subtle hint of universe or stars or cosmos in the background, and then there's this door here created for you that is so beautiful, so colorful, and you just have to move forward. You have here a very tiny wavelength of color as well, just to show how imagination plays a part, how even your inner child plays a part in this journey, right? You're moving into a deep forest that is full of unknown mysteries, but you're joyful about it. You're not uncertain. You're going to take that path with a smile on your face, and that's what I wanted to convey. Also very mysterious, very abstract. No, well, I would say no animals. There's a little butterfly here, but still no animals, no big prominent animals or people here. So let's move to the second card, which is the Magician. In here you have a more prominent animal, and the Magician here is also a remade version of the first Magician I made. The first Magician I made was just the wand with the little stars that you see here in black, bigger and with a pink background, but it didn't convey the messages that I want. So in here you are in the forest. See, I am trying to delve a path. So the Fool entered that forest and now is turned into the Magician and is in the forest. It's foggy, it's full of mystery, and he's deep down there, right? He's dived deep down into the forest. Here's a blossoming flower with an amethyst in the center to talk about intuition, how you've developed now from the Fool into the Magician. You've developed your intuition. You now have the wand right beneath your grasp, so you can do as you wish. You can fly wherever you want to go, and you have still that colorful symbolism that was there before is now the infinity symbol for the tools and the communication and the vibrations that you can generate as the Magician, the skills that you have right now. And the flowers are just a tiny little decoration because I thought they would look pretty, so there isn't much symbolism in the flowers, even though the sunflower does talk to me as, because they're wide open, this is during the daytime. It's foggy, but it's not nighttime, it's daytime. And now we move towards nighttime, and that's what I wanted to convey here to the priestess. So this is not a traditional high priestess in the sense, but it has a lot of that symbolism, right? You have a lot of symbolism here that I can dive deep down better in my guidebook, but I wanted to convey very soft, gentle, nature-y aspect of things, right? With the moon, the emotions, the subconscious. I really wanted the conscious and the subconscious to play a part in this third part of the journey, right? It started with the Fool, it moved to the Magician, and now it's the conscious and the subconscious, right? As before it was inner child joy and beginnings, and then it moves to skill, right? Being skillful, using your tools, creating, making stuff, communicating, and in here it's more about diving deep into yourself, into your conscious and subconscious. There's a little thread of fate here, right beneath this moth. This moth has two parts, one that is physical, it's the real moth, and the other part is spiritual. It's as if it was its soul manifesting. And here a little rose, little geometric hint just to make sure that things are perfectly aligned with this card in your conscious and subconscious. You may not even see that, but things are aligning, and that's one of the messages I wanted to convey. And then a beautiful moon here up top, just to convey you that message of mystery. I really wanted mystery to play a part of the priestess or high priestess, however you want to call it. Then we move to the actual feminine card, the most feminine card in the tarot for me, which is the Empress. So the Empress is this beautiful clamshell with a pearl, and the pearl has a blossom happening right here and some other blossomings happening here. So this is creation of life, not just mere creation, but this is fertility. It's that typical Empress mother-y nature, right? The protective nature of things. You have a nice little constellation here, and you'll see them a little spread out throughout all of the cards. And the water here for emotion, right? The Empress, I wouldn't say overwhelmingness of emotion. It's not like too emotional or all over the place, but it's that emotional, calming, gentle nature of the Empress. Sorry, I butchered that name right now. And then the femininity, this symbol here for feminine energy, because it does play a part. Mother Nature, we call her mother, we call our mothers mother as well, and that feminine energy really plays a part into life, into fertility, into putting life out here, putting us out here, right? That's a little homage to Mother Nature here. Then we have, I'm going to try to make this video not too long. That's why I'm going to jump through some cards quicker than the others. Then we have here the Emperor. We have a sequoia tree and a dinosaur to talk about both stability, because they've lived for so many million years. They thrived, right? And also ancestry, which I think is not talked too much about in the Emperor cards. We have Mars here, and it's a vivid Mars energy that I wanted to convey. And the sequoia with the crown, this is the Emperor. What you see up here, this is not the Emperor. This is almost as if it was a spiritual constellation happening in the sky, a manifestation here in the night desert sky. And I really wanted to put some dinosaurs in the deck because I feel like it's missing. You see a lot of animals, but you don't see reference to mammoths, dinosaurs, and all the other mammals that are now extinct, and that's part of history. And for me, Emperor is all about stability, history, manifestation of power, right? It's very driving force. It's a simple card, but I think it conveys the message beautifully. And yes, I've added a little detail here to the back of the neck of this Velociraptor, which is the Aries symbol. So right, the Emperor, for me, it really brings that Aries energy in the zodiac. Alright, one of my favorite cards that you're going to see now goes a little away from the traditional sense of the things. I do not see the Hierophant as something that I can relate to a lot. I'm not religious, I do not believe in any gods or goddesses, I do not work with any entities. To me, the tarot is me and the cards, that's it, and the space I create here and the other person. That's the connection I feel with tarot. So with the Hierophant, I wanted to call it something else. Not in the sense of the traditional meanings, still having that meaning of passing down knowledge, of opening new doors, of teaching you, right? Of listening to our ancestors and diving deep into history and seeing what we can learning from our elders. I mean, so many meanings tied into one card, but I did not want to call it the Hierophant, so I called it the Teacher. The Teacher here is this fabulous planet, and no, it's not the same as the one before. I know it looks similar. This fabulous planet that's outside of our solar system, this is in another place, in a distant nebula full of possibilities. There could be life here, but it's unknown. But you see it here. So with this key here and the Taurus energy, see, I still added that hint of tradition. So Taurus for the Teacher here, the fifth card in the tarot. And as you can see, there's a little larvae here that it's now transformed into a cocoon, because I feel that when you are reserved into a cocoon, that's when you're learning. You'll learn to then transform into this beautiful moth, butterfly, whatever it is. And the key here really talks about unveiling the potential of the past, receiving that teaching, right? That the past has taught you to live on in the future. So I really wanted to convey this, and this is one of my favorite cards. I had so much fun designing it, and I think it turned out beautiful. I mean, let me be hyped about my own deck, okay? This is the first thing I create in years. I've never created anything related to spirituality, so I'm really excited. Then we move on to the Lovers. This was one of the first cards I've created. So just to give you a little quick story, I did not create the cards in order as it came to my mind, and if you are a creator out there, you'll understand. Sometimes our mind is more, the inspiration goes towards a certain area of the product and you don't do it by order. That doesn't mean that you still don't apply a lot of passion into it. I love this Lovers card. I mean, really, the unification of everything here. Mercury here, the flower, the constellation, the little light lamp, everything has a meaning here, even the background. Of course, in my guidebook, I want to explain all of the bits of the card so that people understand that it's not only just a mere symbolism and other things are there, because I've bought decks in the past that have generic meanings and they don't explain the elements of the artwork. And that's a bummer, isn't it? I don't want to commit that same mistake towards other people. So with the Lovers, there's a lot of complexity here, even though it's a simple card, simple imagery, but I do feel it's one of the most complex cards here in my deck because it conveys a lot of messages. But what I wanted to have was the duality of things. As you can see, the background has two major colors, the foreground with the fish as well, and I wanted to convey myth as well. That's why the koi fish-ish, let's say ish because they are not exactly koi fish, but I wanted to convey that here, and just to bring a sense of awe, right? A sense of unification, a sense of duality, and how duality is needed in our world and things aren't just black or white. And that's exactly what I wanted to have here, so I really hope people enjoy this. And also because it's an emotional card, that's why I used the fish, water element on the background. And trust me, in the guidebook you'll get more details here. I just don't want to drag this video for too long. We have here the Chariot, which I thought of putting something in movement, but I've then decided to use a cicada. I love cicadas, and I really wanted to incorporate them in this deck. That's why I created this Chariot. So this is ascension to me. It's ascension, it's moving towards your goal, but stopping right in the middle to observe your environment, and then you realize there isn't much to observe. Probably what you need to observe is within. That's exactly the message that I wanted to convey here. As you can see, the cicada is kind of still in time, but everything else around, the wind is still blowing and things are still happening, and that little point where the cicada is moving to is still shining right there in the planet. So I love this card. I really think it goes well with the overall aesthetic, and of course more meaning will be then in the guidebook that I prepare. Then I know this is also a little far from the tradition because there is no person here, even though there's a hand, and there's no lion or tiger or feline. I thought that strength didn't also call too much to me when I see a person taming a lion. That's overused to me. I wanted something more me, more unique, and that still conveyed that message. So the strength here is about resilience to me. That's why I have a huge diamond right in the front, and this beautiful, beautiful whale here, just ready to dive deep down and not being afraid of being itself and just realizing its full potential, how strong it is, right? How vibrant it is, and how interconnected with everything else and the environment it is. That to me is inner strength. It's just you being comfortable. It's just you just swimming by, right? I have here a closed hand, a fist, creating a lot of force and just bursting with that strength, literal strength out there. But then you have the calmness of the whale, right? I wanted to convey both messages here, and then the ocean in the background, just a wave washing away, and to show that water is ever so powerful, but this whale is unbothered, right? It's not shaken by this force of the water. So that to me is the inner strength that I wanted to convey. Then I have here another watery card, which is the Hermit. The Hermit, I really wanted to have something underwater. Though, when I created this card, I realized I see it more as beneath the surface of the water, but you can see it both ways, right? The surface right here, and it's right beneath the surface because outside there's a lot of things to see, but right now it dived deep within, and that's why it's holding this mysterious lantern here, the little corals here. I mean, seriously, I really wanted a good traditional message for the Hermit that was a little abstract, and I just love this cute little shrimp. I mean, you cannot go wrong with it. In here we have also a more traditional card here, which is the wheel, the Wheel of Fortune. Here's the problem. You see how I've added Aquarius and Leo here, Scorpio and Taurus, but Aquarius and Leo are cut. You cannot see the symbolism for it because of the huge issue with the black borders. So I need to have the borders a lot thinner, like around here where I have my fingers, and then you can see the details because it also cut a little bit of the face of the cat here and the monkey. I really wanted tradition in this Wheel of Fortune. I'm not going to dive into this card right now because there's a lot of meaning here. Right, so up next we have the Justice card. In here I wanted to show an image of a phoenix because I really think that conveys justice quite well. But again, here's the issue with the borders. I had a small planet here and the phoenix looking directly at it, but because of the borders, maybe you can't really define what this is, because this was a ringed planet, hence the two colors here, the spherical planet and then the ring around it, but you can see it quite well. There's an aura around the phoenix here, and it really is about renewal. It really is about balance of life, and this was almost the Judgment card, but I do feel it really was good towards justice. Then here we have an interesting card. I'll tell you why. The Hanged card, I'm not calling it the Hanged Man, but it's the same thing. The Hanged card started like this, but now I've remade it into something else. So on top of this video, when I edit it, I will add the newer version here as an image. I'll leave a few seconds for you to look into it, and then I'll go back to the card again. Because even though this conveyed a beautiful message to me, and I like the artwork, I like the color palette and the scheme here, and the wood pointing upwards and then the eye looking downwards, I still thought something was missing. Something was missing from this artwork, and that's why I remade it. Though let me know in the comment section if you prefer the newer version that you've just seen on screen or this, because I might have to take in feedback and see what works best with the deck. I want user feedback to know if I should launch the final product with the remade versions of the cards or the original vision. Here we have the Death card. Originally it wasn't like this, it had loads of flowers and all that, but I wanted to convey a message of renewal, of life in death, right? Life in the places that you don't expect to see life, and a little meteor there just announcing the renewal. It's going to come to destroy to then create, and that's to me what death is all about. We have a little Black Panther here, a cauldron. The Black Panther has the Scorpio constellation around it, so lots of little details that I'll dive deep when I launch my product. Then I've changed some names of the major arcana, and I know a lot of people probably won't get accustomed to that pretty easily, but instead of temperance, I wanted to call it balance. So the balance of elements here, and fun fact, the wave that you see here, which is water, and then the air, which is the sky in the background, they form kind of a yin and a yang energy. If you look into it as just those two elements, right, you have the yin here, and then you have the yang. And I really wanted to convey that subtly. That's why I told you each element has a lot of detail, even though the cards are simple and artistic in a digital modern way, they still have meaning in here. You have protection there with Jupiter, or a Jupiter-esque planet. It's not necessarily as you see Jupiter in the night sky, but it's similar to it. And very harmonious feel in here. This bow and arrow here is to talk about Sagittarius. Then one of my favorite creations in terms of just having plain fun doing it, the Devil. The Devil card has a Capricorn mixed with a human skull attached to a chain. The flowers here are a little poisonous. They could be. They are very colorful, but poisonous. You have two very distinct flowers here to talk about that two different sides of us. You can also see it as masculine and feminine if you wish, like the traditional male and female next to the devil. And the cosmos keeps working around and it keeps moving, time keeps passing, but you're now tied in to that temptation and to those things that you shouldn't be doing. You're now addicted because you're stuck to something that you shouldn't. And the way to go for you to move to the next step, it's blocked by another chain. So I really wanted to convey that. In here we have your typical, and now not so typical, let's be honest, the Tower card that I've renamed to Menace. This is a different sense of the Tower. The Tower here is the actual dragon that you see in the picture. I wanted to have a palette that gave a nod to the Harry Potter universe. That's why you see the thunder here, and that's why you see this color palette here. I really wanted to have a magical tower moment, but not in the traditional sense of the tower. So not an actual tower, not a literal tower falling down with a bolt. No, it's the opposite. It's the tower that's creating that destruction. It's menacing, it's ever so powerful, and it's a force that is going to come and boom, it's going to explode into your life, whether you like it or not. And that's exactly what I wanted to convey here, with other details that we'll talk about in the future. Then we have the Star card that I wanted to be very simple and hopeful. So for you not to focus on anything, just tiny little details here, like Aquarius constellation, Neptune symbolism here, this blue flower here, and the beautiful background, which all have their own meanings. But then I wanted the focus to be here, on the hopes, looking upwards, looking into the highs and not the lows, looking into that bright, shining star in the midst of the darkish, more darkish tone universe, cosmic background. So I wanted simplicity here, not only hope and a very hopeful imagery, but also simplicity. Then we have the moon that I wanted to be a little traditional. That's why I added the two pillars here that are different. As you can see, they are different design. And also the wolves, a bat for mystery, for night. You have triangle here with a feather. There's a lot of hidden meanings here. This card is one that's rich with meaning, but I'm not going to dive deep in any of the meanings today, so I'll just let you appreciate the artwork. The sun, also very hopeful. Also, it's shining bright in the midst of the clouds, and that already conveys a perfect message here. The rainbow flower here, there is so many meanings. The birds flocking away, the sunflowers. I mean, you get the overall aesthetic and idea. Here we have what you would call judgment. Ooh, and it's already falling down. That I've also renamed. To me, judgment is all about a call to life, a call to reason, a call to analyze everything. After this whole journey, you're almost at the end of your journey as the fool, and this is the culmination. So I wanted to call it, which is funny to say it this way, I wanted to call it the call. Here's the deal. I've also remade this card, and people have told me they love this because it's a vector-ish peacock, a huge peacock creature, like a spirit sitting on top of an ethereal mountain. But I've remade it to have actual little birds being called onto a cosmic peacock. and with more reddish tones. I'll also put the image here for a few seconds and you'll be able to see the difference. I will also want to get in feedback from people if they prefer this version or the newer one. And the culmination of the major arcana will finally move towards the end of it. It's the World card. I wanted to put another dragon in the deck. I love dragons. That's why I had the dragon for the menacing menace tower card, and then the World, I wanted to have something very grounded to nature, right? Very reminiscent of nature and of old, of past. That's why I have this imaginary dragon here, because in reality what's happening, it's in this dust you're seeing a vision. Through this dragon mirror you're seeing a vision to nature, the mountains, the tree, the birds, right? The migration, everything. This is the culmination of the Fool and all the other elements. Taurus here for the groundedness, the wings that let you fly and see the bigger picture outside of here. And I absolutely love this card. This is the culmination of the major arcana, so I'll move from this. I'll remove the major arcana from here, and I'll move to first and foremost the sword suit. So with the minors, I'm going to try to be quicker and not be as in-depth as I was with the major arcana. So as I told you, there are no numbers here. It won't say swords anywhere or the suit, but you can clearly see this is the Ace of Swords. I mean, you'll have the number written here, and you'll always have a clear imagery of the suit. So Ace of Swords, truth, manifestation, putting into practice, right? What you do and what you say is manifested into the world. Really wanted that, and beautiful. Love the background, love the imagery and the symbolism. And we have the Two of Swords here, very reminiscent of decisions, of duality, of not seeing clearly the things that you need to see, of be careful because you might be hurt. Even the curtains here, which have a big amount of opacity, that's why you can barely see them, have meaning. Then we have the Three of Swords. Loved doing this. I didn't want the swords permitting a heart, because that's overused as well in almost every deck. I still wanted the blood here to show a little bit of heartbreak, a little bit of, feeling hurt, but there's so much more to it, to the Three of Swords, rather than just that thing. That's why I wanted to have just a little nod with the blood here. Four of Swords, having that armor that we always put up, even though it's stable, but we always have to see what's underneath. Love the background. I love using the backgrounds for the sword suit, which is mostly clouds and the sky, just to portray that air energy. Love this card. This card to me reads like a tattoo. Let me explain that to you. So it's not as if the swords are coming out of it. No, they are blocking the skull here, right? There is block imprisonment. It's just blocking all your visions, all your paths, but there's still potential. That's why you have the hair of the skull is still there. It's a beautiful butterfly, an ethereal one, and amazing. Then, one of the cards that I also love doing, even though it's not a huge nod to cosmic vibes, but I love this. This to me is all about movement, and if you don't see it, the swords are the bits here of the wheel that's being held to move forward in life and to just move through the wonders. And it's becoming nighttime. It's becoming nighttime, as you can see there, with a little sunset reflection in the water. D7, which has poisonous plants here, I wanted that little nod to the Seven of Swords, and I really wanted to use the lamp and the assassin, let's say like that, the masked figure here, because it's coming for you, right? You're being taken advantage of, the toxicity that the Seven of Swords can portray, but also the other little bits and the wonders that can happen. I mean, there's a lot going on for each card, and I'm sure you know it. Then we have the Eight of Swords. Also had a lot of fun creating this, and in here the swords are the outside of the weaved web here, by the spider, and it's still being made. As you can see, there's a little needle and it's still being made here. Absolutely love this card because I love spiders. I'm not a huge fan of holding them, but I actually like them, and they're very beneficial for our lives as well. Nine of Swords with your more traditional nightmare sense of things, but I want it to be abstract. That's why you have these little creepy eye and the moon melting. I love doing this. I absolutely love the bat wings. And even in here, you have the little lightning that you may think it's a lightning, but then it's a tree. What is it? There's a lot of potential in these cards, and that's why I'm loving holding them one by one and explaining them to you. Then we have the 10 of Swords, the decay, the end of something, right? The culmination, and like it still matters, but there's nothing else here for you to see. That's one of the core messages I wanted to convey. And in here is for you to focus more on the background of things than the foreground. Now we move towards the court cards. The court cards, I needed to identify them because if you just looked at it like this, you probably wouldn't understand. I mean, it's air, but for beginners, they probably wouldn't understand. Is it swords? Is it wands? What is this? Is it cups? So I identified it clearly here with the swords. So this is the Page of Swords. Adventure, youth, you know, the typical imagery. I wanted it to be very colorful. Then the Knight of Swords. Very powerful. This Knight of Swords, very powerful and shadowy. One of my favorite cards, the Queen of Swords. Ever so insightful and paying attention to everything around her. And also the spirit beneath her or behind her or within her is opening the wings and ready to fly while she is stable right here. And one of my favorite cards as well, because I love seeing animals in cards, the Falcon, the King of Swords. Amazing. Even though the camera doesn't pick color quite as well as I'm seeing it here, it's full of bluish tones, and I loved doing this card. Right, we'll move to the wands now. The Ace of Wands, I want it to be very, very simple. You have a very faint 1 here. Then you have the power in your hand, the power of creativity. Creativity, passion, manifestation as well, but mostly creativity here. That's why I have little colorful sparkles coming out of the wand. And again, a nod to magical universes, to fantasy, movies, series, everything. I really wanted a little bit of me in my life in every single card. Then we have a card that is actually one that I dedicate to my partner because he's an Aries sign. So I wanted to convey Aries in a beautiful, very charming way, because to me that's how he is. Beautiful, charming, a huge part of my life. So, and I added little hearts to the wands here, even though it still conveys the Two of Wands message, right? Being between those decisions and just in awe and contemplation. I really want to dedicate this to him for sure. The Three of Wands, finally manifesting that out into the universe, putting your words into action. Love it. Even though this, I think it can be a little tricky, I still think you can see it's wands, right? You wouldn't see these as swords or cups. So I do think you can see it as one suit. The Four of Wands, stability, home, that sense of being grounded at home, protection. I could go on with the keywords, but you get the idea. In here, it's you in planet Earth, watercolor of Earth that I love, absolutely love, and all of the other wonders of the universe. The Five of Wands that I love, it's my, how do I call it? I call it the bubblegum card because of the colors. Look at this. And also a nod to that era of when I was younger and we chewed on pink bubblegum and we had so many ideas going on at the same time. We were so explosive out there that I wanted to add that palette, color palette to here. I absolutely love it. I love the 5, and trust me, the X, 1X here, which is Roman numerals, even that has a little meaning. Tiny little meaning, even though this is 5 wands, it has a tiny meaning, and the typical 5 of wands, right? That feistiness. Ooh, lots of energy here with the explosions. Then we have the Six of Wands, accomplishments, finally reaching that goal. You're on top of everything right now. Leo energy, being proud, and Leo has so many other meanings. I love this. I actually love this card here. And it's probably the first human that you see, but it's not a defined human. You don't see the face, you only see the astronaut suit. Then we have the Seven of Wands, right? Escaping, everything pointing towards you. Right in this card, the querent or the reader is the tiger, is this manifestation here. And then everything else is from multiple sources. That's why multiple colors here in the wands are pointing at this tiger. I loved creating this with this blue smoke and the ethereal imagery that I created here. I actually love this Seven of Wands. Next, this is probably, I wouldn't say the actual favorite, but I'm gonna say it either way. It's probably my favorite card in the entire deck. Because I'm a sucker for sci-fi, I'm a sci-fi aficionado, and this was amazing. This reminds me of Prometheus, of Inception, of all those amazing sci-fi movies, of Alien. I wanted to have a very big, prominent alien ship in the 8. The wonders here to me point towards this. These to me are the wonders of the universe, still undiscovered. We don't know if there's a civilization out there, and that to me brings out the wonders of the 8 of Wands. We have a little citrine stone here, and you have the 8th wand right here, because if you count that, there's only 7, and the 8th is right here in this bit. I absolutely love this card, you cannot imagine. And because you're not seeing very close to the camera, the ship is in movement. There's manifestation of movement right here, and in person you'll see those details a lot better. Then the Knight of Wands, which also suffered a little bit of alignment and cut from the borders because you could see the stars a little more, but the ones here are the stars. The adventure of the Knight of Wands, the mystery. I love it. I absolutely love it. A little nod to Sagittarius here. You see quite a bit of Sagittarius and Aquarius in this deck, and I'll tell you why. Because I'm an Aquarius sun and Sagittarius ascendant, rising sign. And that's why I wanted to, as I said, put parts of my life into the deck. Otherwise, it's not mine. It's not my creation. I didn't want to make it only for the masses. I needed to add my touch into it. Then the Ten of Swords, with a very traditional meaning, right? Being overburdened, the weight of your actions, and this is a backbone, a spine, and then the wands, these little bits of the wands also form a little skeleton structure. So I really wanted to have that. You need to have a big spine to hold on to this. Something is dragging you down, and you need to be careful because it can only hold for so long. And other meanings as well, but I'm just going general here so that I don't drag the video. These court cards were some of the most favorite on the internet, because apparently people really love dinosaurs in tarot, because there isn't much of dinosaur-esque imagery in tarot decks, let's just be honest. So the page here, youthful, but going into adventure, bursting into something new. That's why you have the dinosaur egg here, the little pterodactyl, you have a constellation there. Again, lots of little details that I'll dive deep when I get there. The Knight of Wands, that I absolutely love because of the colors. I love this. I love the little planet he's standing on, this lizard, his tail blossoms into a red flower. There are planets, there is a little shooting star. There's a lot here, there's a lot going on, and some cards I wanted to be simple, other cards I wanted to have a lot of complex details. This is one of the most beloved cards as well, the Queen of Wands. She's powerful, she's here to stay, baby, and be careful. Be careful because the predatorial instinct. The Queen of Wands here, manifestation in the universe, and I love it. And finally, last but not least, of course, in the Wands, he's the King of Wands. Also a dinosaur, a big T-Rex, and I have a little square to show the stability. And this is all about your past life and how you can portray that here. This is also wisdom. This is also someone that's grown a lot. The King of Wands to me has so many good and amazing meanings that you can apply to your actual real life that I love when it comes up in a reading. I love it. So let's move that out of the way so that the pile isn't too big. And now we'll move to the Cups suit. So the Ace of Cups, I wanted it to be very simple. Very, very simple. The focus to just be on the background, the little droplets of water and the cup. That was it to me. Even though I added a little clownfish here, but the borders, once again, that I need to fix, cut the little clownfish, and I wanted that little cutesy clownfish there. Then we have the Two of Cups. This is a card I remade because the original had purple seahorses and you couldn't really contrast that with a blue background, so I needed to remake it. And the power of attraction and of love here, I mean, you cannot go wrong with the Two of Cups. A little heart. I wanted to be very cute. I wanted the cup suit to be cute. Insightful yet cute. And talking about cute, this is the cutest card in the deck, the Three of Cups. Right? Because the Three of Cups, yes, it is celebration, yes, it is friendship, but to me it's also about reunion. It's you gathering with your close ones, with your friends, and remembering those old times when you were all children, so joyful about just being together and doing things together. And that's why I wanted to make a very, very cute card that could also talk about inner child, that could also talk about children if you have that subject in a reading. That's why the little nod and the cute little creatures here smiling, and I loved it. I absolutely loved this artwork to include here in this card. On a more serious note, we have the Four of Cups, full of meaning. This is one of those complex cards, full of meaning. With the book here, with the other cup that fell down, with the swordfish just underneath that, hiding away in the coral, and the other three there. I mean, the Four of Cups can be quite complex in readings. The Five of Cups, not negative, but also touching into that shadowy aspect of things, of sadness, of being actually hurt. This really about is you touching that deep wound that hasn't healed yet. It's very different from the Three of Swords. This is actually going to the core of that subject that you sometimes don't want to go there because it's going to be very hard to deal with, but you sometimes have to, right? You have to deal with it and hold it. Then we have here history. The main message I wanted to convey with the Six of Cups was history. That's you have the little nod here, the mother and the sun dolphin, just passing down knowledge, right? Amazing, amazing. I loved creating this and they're so cute. They're really, really cute. One card that is full of complex that I'm not even going to try to explain to you in this video, otherwise I would take at least 10 to 15 minutes to just explain the basics. It's the Seven of Cups. I wanted a traditional here, and with the actual Seven Cups having a different symbol in them, and also a human face. I wanted somewhere in the deck a human face, and this to me was the best part of it. Amazing card. I absolutely am very proud of this artwork. The Eight of Cups, a little traditional as well, moving towards new horizons, a journey right to a better place, having to put something down to move forward, etc. The Nine of Cups, that is very cute as well. It makes me smile because this hammer shark here has his food, his prey, ready at his disposal. But he forgets one thing. The cups, they're open. They can just leave at any time, right? So while you might have everything, be careful not to lose it. That's one of the messages here. Then the Ten of Cups, the flow, the vibration, the intelligence, the emotional intelligence, let's say it like that. And I really wanted to have an octopus. I love them. They are very intelligent creatures. The adaptability, the tools that they have at their disposal, amazing. Then let's go to the court cards. I added a little glass, wine glass, let's say, as the cup identifier because I thought it was cute, and you could identify cups very easily with this. So we have a manta ray for the page, moving away from the water and into new realms, and the peace, and so many other meanings here with the lotus flower. Then to every one of you out there that are watching and wanted some diversity, even though this is not a human deck, here it is. To me, the Knight of Cups is all about love, but in the realm of passion, right? The more love card to me is the Two of Cups, but then the Knight of Cups is passion. It's presenting you ourselves out there. It's sexuality as well. And I wanted to represent that here, even though somehow it didn't align. In my artwork, this is aligned. But in the cut of the card that they made, they moved the image a little bit towards there, and it cut a little bit of this. So it's symmetric, do not worry. As I said, this is just a prototype. So in here we have the penguin here with a rose on his beak. I say his, but you can say otherwise. We have here 3 different symbols because I wanted inclusivity, not only female and male energies, but some people do not identify as any of those genders. And I feel that we have to move on with the times, right? Humanity is moving towards a new gender norm where non-binary people are valid and they're coming out more and more. And even are people that are agender and all sorts of things. I wanted to include that here. Of course, I'm not going over to the ridiculous of people that call themselves tree selves or bunny selves. That to me is not a gender. Sorry if this offends anyone saying this, but I do feel that this is inclusive enough for all my people out there, part of the LGBTQIA plus community that I am a part of as well. So I needed to add something that referenced that. And remember, I'm not only including that here. I do think LGBTQIA plus should have an H in the middle because our straight or heterosexual allies are also included here. I want to include everyone and not just make it exclusive about sexuality on that realm, on the realm of our own community. Because let's be honest, the more labels we use, the more we're going to get discriminated against. I feel that I thrive for a world where labels stop existing when we just call ourselves humans, right? Then we have the Queen of Cups here. Intuition, baby. This card is all about intuition, the psyche, the visions, right? That's why you have the eye here. And listen, she's beautiful. I love these animals. All of them in the cards, I absolutely love them. Again, not exactly aligned because the triangle here symbolizing the water element is cut here, but here not. I really need to have a talk with the printing company because I don't know how they messed this up, seriously. Probably because of the borders being too big. Then we have here the King of Cups, right? He's young, he's fun, he's exploring, but he needs to understand one day he's going to get hold, and one day it's just his spirit that's going to linger in the depths of the ocean, this deep ocean, right? It's not just underwater, this is like that deep ocean aspect of things. Let's move on to the discs suit. You can call it pentacles, but I call them discs because they're not exactly pentacles here. We have the ace, your typical, and in here I wanted to have, the directional rows of the elements, and then in here this beautiful butterfly to manifest that amazing sense of you have everything right now. You have everything at your disposal and the world is wonderful. Then we have the Two of Discs, one of the cutest cards here. Let's just be honest, if you love bees, this card was amazing to me to make. And let me just tell you a little fact about me. Yellow is my favorite color, so I made sure to abuse the yellow in this card. Then we'll move to the Three of Discs, right? The work put onto it, and also the Capricorn vibes that we can have in a card like this. And I wanted the 3 ends here to be all about work, unison, savings, meetings. This is an amazing card for professional situations. So if you're reading for something career oriented or business, if this card comes up, well, that's going to give you great insight. Again, me with the dinosaurs, I'm sorry, but I absolutely love them. More traditional meaning as well, with the 4 discs having 4 different elements here, and just the dinosaur standing on little shaky ground, right? Besides him, there's an amazing stable forest to delve into, but right now he's in a more spiritual, abstract world. I keep saying he, do not mind me, okay? It's just I'm used to it, and also because English is my main language, and we have a tendency in my own language to use he and she for everything. For example, table in Portuguese is female. It's not an it as in English. English, there's it for table, for the floor. We in Portuguese don't have it. It's every single thing is male or female. I know it's weird, but it's how our language works. Then we have the 5, right? The apples are rotting away here because you're in an alien planet, not even knowing where you are. They are the discs here, but you also have a little nod to a disc UFO and a disc sun. I love doing this, very abstract Scorpio energy there. The spectrum of light and of color at the top, and the astronaut, he just gave up because the spaceship is going away, because there is nowhere to go. He just took away his helmet and left off. The 6, productivity, right? Birthing, putting things, how do I say it here now? Making sure you put effort into something and it's going to flourish. I loved putting this little colibri here, right? So beautiful little flowers here. I loved making this card. Then I'm sure this card is going to be a little on the 2 notes for people, because listen, I absolutely love it, but there may be people that will be like, I don't like it because they are literal discs. But listen, this is the main message to me about the 7 of discs, or 7 of pentacles. You have so many, and each one has their own properties and color. Which one will you choose? It's when you have so many options, which one will you choose? That to me is the main message of the 7 of pentacles, and that's why I wanted to convey this for the 7 of discs. Of course, other meanings are here with the Taurus, with the Aurora, with the larvae, the little caterpillar, but more on that later, of course. Now, the ancestry card, which is what I call the 8 of pentacles, is the 8 of discs, having the tools of your at your disposal, using the old things, the things that the earth has provided us to create tools. And that's also something I wanted to portray here. The 9 of discs, unfortunately, is a little bit misaligned as well, because it's almost cutting up at this. And did you know that these coins here are all real, historic coins, to have that sense of history and wisdom? And because of the meaning of the card really is portrayed well in a way that I've made sure to then write about in my book, which is going to be, this is Capricorn Sun and Cancer Moon. And a Capricorn Sun and Cancer Moon is a very specific combination that means something. And that something is what I feel applies beautifully to D9 of this. That's why I wanted that little nod here. I just loved making each card their own archetype and their own imagery. The 10 of discs, one of my favorite cards, because you have, if you count the constellation discs here and then the actual color rings, it's 10. And the little ladybug, the snail, I also wanted to add the pendulum, but cordless. It's a cordless pendulum. It just fell, and it's creating that energy of the 10 of pentacles. And also it's big because of that sense of having enough, of having so much to look into your life. I mean, so many meanings could be taken away from here. We go to the court cards that I think are easily identified with the disc. Up here we have the page, very sure of himself, and I love him. In the desert, eyes wide open, the sun energy, absolutely love it. And then we have the opposite in the night, which is more a night energy. And listen, I love this little frog. It's so cool. I wanted to give it this coloration because it's a poisonous frog, but it's not bad. It's not a bad intention. It's just that be careful who you're messing with. Do not mess with the Knight of Discs. Then we have the Queen of Discs. Very resilient, very able, right? Very capable of things. And you might not see it here on camera, but this emerald and this diamond, let's say, it holds an egg there. It's not a camel egg because they do not put eggs out there. It's like a cosmic egg. So there's also a lot of meaning into this card. And the final card on the minor arcana, the King of Discs. Powerful, very, very powerful. I wanted the background not to be the focus, that's why it's very icy. You have a icy sun here, a little star in the background, and the icy waters, but the focus is him and his crown, right? Proud is probably a little too comfortable because he's quite big, let's just say that. I'm not saying this in a bad way, but he's quite big, is very comfortable, right? He's not hungry right now, he's not needing anything, but he needs to be aware that he's sitting on thin ice. It's that getting too comfortable, be careful with it, but at the same time, extremely powerful card. And here we move to the two bonus cards that I added to the deck that I've talked about in the beginning. So this is the first card of the deck. So before the full, it's the alpha, it's the creation, it's the manifestation of life, and all of these archetypes started here with the alpha. I really wanted to add that little cybernetic nod here because it's all as if the whole deck is a simulation of this alpha. He's imagining these things, and as he's imagining it, he's creating them into out there. He's manifesting thought into matter. And then the last card of the deck is the Omega. So this is the destruction of everything. Not saying wolves are bad, I love them. It's just that it's here. Whether you like it or not, it's here to destroy everything you've known, to destroy your bases, to destroy the support systems that you had, and now everything is going to begin anew, because to create, one must first destroy. Well, that's it for today, this walkthrough. I hope you enjoyed it. I know it was quite long, but I really enjoyed making these cards and ordering them in order to manifest them into the world, right? It's so good when you have a passion project and you just imagine it. I've been imagining creating my own tarot deck for quite a while now, but I thought maybe I'm not going to be successful. Maybe this is going to be something no one will care about. But then I thought, better. I even did some readings for myself, because as a reader you may know that we constantly do that. I thought, why not? Why not try? At least try. And even if I just created it digitally in the computer and it never left to paper, to actual print, at least I would have digital images or art to remind myself that I am capable of great things. So this is my first presentation of the Dark Star Tarot, created by me with lots of passion for you guys to appreciate. I hope you enjoyed this video, and stay tuned, because in the future I'm going to review the deck, of course, also try to have a better print of it, and then hopefully I'll be able to sell it and all of you guys will be able to handle it in your hands. That's it for today, my peeps. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you soon.